So I want to ask you, what do you think customer service is? This business function that is so critical to the success of companies, but it really is very misunderstood. It's not like accounting that has rules and norms and everyone understands them. Customer service and service excellence in particular is very, very elusive. And I want you to think for a moment what you think it is. What I'd like to propose to you, and if we could switch to the slides, please, is that customer service is a combination of soft and hard skills. And if you can imagine in your minds a fruit or a vegetable that's soft on the outside and has a hard seed in the inside. Can you picture everything? Can you picture a fruit or a vegetable that's soft and hard? My mind has a mango, but I'm going to show you an image of an avocado because my teenage daughter is obsessed with avocados. And I want you to think about this avocado and think about the soft part and think about the seed. And would this fruit survive without the seed? No, it wouldn't grow. What is the soft part of the seed? The soft part in service excellence are the soft skills that we teach our staff. The smiling, the greeting, the building of rapport and engaging with customers. But that on its own is not going to create excellent service. To have excellent service, you need the combination of the hard skills, which Dr. Saad actually had eloquently talked about. There's a number of activities that are needed in order for a company to move up and to provide excellent service, whether it's the way it recruits, the processes it puts in place, its reliability, the way it bounces back after complaints happen, a series of initiatives that require leadership to push down the message that service excellence is the way we want to go, and there's a brand promise behind that. And I'd like to pause for a moment and to try to think together what the definition of excellent service is. There are many definitions out there about customer service. The one we're going to choose to share with you is that excellent service is the ability to create value for the customer. I'm going to repeat that. Excellent service is a company's ability to create value for a customer. Now, what does that mean? It means that your customer coming in through the door has an expectation, and you as a company need to match and exceed that expectation in order to provide excellent service. Meeting basic customer needs isn't going to do it. And just matching some of the expectations isn't going to do it either. It's exceeding those expectations. And when you define excellent service that way, then you know that as a company, you need to be so customer-centric, so aware of your customer needs that your whole focus becomes very different. So that's defining customer excellence. As we've been conducting the index now for the past 3 years, we've discovered that there's 3 types of companies that operate in Kuwait. The first one are the non-believers. The second are the ones in the middle, and then obviously the third are the believers. So let's talk a moment about these 3 groups, and that's going to lead us up to sharing some of the findings that we've seen. So let me talk about the non-believers. These are companies that their focus and everything that they do is not geared to customer service. They don't use any terminology to reflect service excellence. These companies focus on one thing. Can you guess what it is? Bottom line, the numbers. Let's meet the numbers. The good news is there's very few of these companies because they can't survive. If you're not focusing on your customer and who that customer is and what their requirements are, you're not going to survive. So that takes us to the second group. And the second group, as we said, are the semi-believers. Now, why do we call them semi-believers? It's because they're doing some of the activities that build a customer-centric organization and a service excellence-driven organization, but they don't do enough. They may do some mystery shopping. They may do some training. They may reward some staff, but they don't do all the disciplines required to build a customer-centric culture and a service excellence culture. So the third group, then, obviously, are those that are fully committed to creating an excellent culture. These are very few companies, but I have some good news for you. Among you tonight, there are 8 companies that are going to be winning for the 3rd time in a row. So 8 of the companies that are here tonight will be winning for 3 years. And that, if it doesn't prove that you guys are believers in service, I don't know what is. So from now, we're telling you congratulations to these companies. Now, when we're talking about believers, I want you to think for a moment, who are the companies outside of Kuwait, let's forget that we're in Kuwait for a moment, that are famous for legendary service? And I'm sure you won't disagree with any of the companies we're going to share with you. Amazon, they're phenomenal. If you buy something and there's a problem, they return it without questions asked, with refunds and everything. It's seamless. Apple, obsessively designed equipment that caters to every single customer need. Disney, Ritz-Carlton, these are among the legends in customer service worldwide. And why? It's because each and every one of these companies creates a complete culture that is focused about creating value for the customer. And we want, our mission at Service Hero is to help companies do that by consulting with them, by helping them, by measuring their standards. So we've seen these three types of companies. We've seen the leaders and the non-leaders. Let me shift now to sharing some of the results for Kuwait with you. And I'd like to speak a moment, if I may, about research integrity and the protocols that we use. When we close the vote on December the 31st, so our voting is open for 92 days, we close on midnight of the 31st, and then we spend 2 weeks looking at each and every single record that comes. And we've gotten, this time we've got 14,300 and something, 82 I think was the number of assessments. And we do a data check on these. We check for basically 2 categories. One is security protocols, so these are systems that we have in our database to check for accuracy. The other one is looking at certain statistical patterns. And if we see anything that looks a little bit awkward or suspicious, we flag that record and we take the tough decision to remove it. So while we got 14,400 records, we removed a sizable number to ensure that when we produce reports, they are 100% authentic and credible. And that's really important for us to be able to say that. If we weren't authentic and credible, we wouldn't be in business. It's as simple as that. So I just wanted to make that clear. So now let's share some of the results with you regarding the Kuwait level data. And the good news is we're beginning to see an improvement in Kuwait. We're really happy about that. We're seeing a 2% increase. Now 2% might sound like a very small figure, but when you're talking about a national index that covers 400 companies across 17 sectors, it's very reflective of the level of competition in the economy. And it's telling you it's a healthy economy, and there's a lot of positive competition between the companies. So we're happy to see the 2%. In fact, we've seen this increasing over the past 3 years. So it's a positive trend. It hasn't dipped. It's continuing to go up. The second observation we have is that we have been measuring now for the past 3 years. There's 15 categories that we've measured for 3 years. 13 of those categories have improved. So think of that. 13 categories out of 15 that have been measured for the past 3 years improved. That means everyone is upping their service levels. Everyone is beginning to say, what can I do to improve my service excellence levels? And we're really excited about that, and we really applaud you for all your efforts. In terms of which industries have improved the most, let me just share with you, these are the 3 industries that have improved the farthest or the fastest. Car service, which improved a whopping 9%. That's a really phenomenal figure. ISPs and mobile operators. I do have to comment, however, that these 3 industries are at the bottom of the list out of the 17 that we're measuring. So they're coming up from a low position, and we want them to continue to improve. Car service in particular is an interesting one because in the automotive industry, we're measuring 2 categories. We're measuring car purchase and car service. And car purchase actually hasn't changed. It's maintained its level. The interesting thing is of the 37 brands that are being assessed in the automotive, for the dealerships to say we need to improve our car service levels, it means that the dealers are realizing it's not just the purchase, it's the post-purchase. It's the long-term relationship and strengthening that long-term relationship, and they are definitely investing in improving it. So we're really happy to see this positive trend. There has been no change in 2 industries, and one of them's actually dipped. And in new car sales, we've seen no change, so I've explained why that's the trend. And regional airlines has dropped 2% over the past 3 years. All the figures that I'm showing you are 2010, 11, and 12. Airlines has dropped, but one can explain it by the complexity of this industry and pricing and logistics, etc. So that's just explaining that one. Let me shift now to sharing with you the service dimensions. Remember, we're measuring, I'm trying to bring up 8 fingers, so this is 8 dimensions that we're measuring. Speed, reliability, staff attitude, location, value for money, call center, website. And when we're reporting on every single one of these dimensions. So if you get our industry reports, you'll see the details. And we're reporting on them by brand and by demographic group. Now, when we've measured these, we've seen an improvement in most of them. The most improvement, however, has been in value for money, which improved 5% in the past 3 years. as well as call centers and product quality. Now let me just say something about value for money. Value for money means, for example, if I was going to go have a hamburger, I have the option of buying a 2-dinar fast food hamburger or a fancy hamburger at a great steakhouse for 10 dinars. So let's assume I'm going to buy the 10-dinar hamburger and I'm biting into it and I'm tasting it and I'm going to be thinking in my head, is this worthy of 10 dinars or would I be happier with a 2-dinar hamburger? And so value for money means companies are stepping back and saying we need to provide better product quality or better quality products, and better quality service in order for us to uplift our service levels. And so we're happy to see this going up because we've already defined that excellent service is the ability to create value for the customer. So this is one value that's proving that. We have, on the demographic side, we see the same trends that we have for the past 3 years. We've seen Kuwaitis being still the most critical customer group, so their satisfaction level is lowest. We see 2 other demographic groups that are always critical as well. Males tend to still have lower scores, and then the age group of 30 to 40 are also the most critical. So this is an age group that's a professional segment and their time is short, and so we can understand that. We see that most satisfied customers are the females, non-Arabs, as you can see in this chart, and then older age groups of 50 plus. So these are the groups that are most happy. But this year, we've added, based on actually requests by a lot of the companies to add education level. And so we've added education level, and what we've seen is a very interesting trend. We see that the most satisfied customers are in the middle. So they have a diploma or a high school degree. And the ones that are the least satisfied are those who are barely literate, so they know how to read and write up to a certain extent, they don't have a high school degree, or the opposite, they're PhD holders and postgraduates. And the reason that these two are the least satisfied, for the ones that are not very educated, imagine if you could barely read and write and you're walking into a branch of a bank, you would need more hand-holding because you'd be a little bit sensitive about the information. You don't know how to read it, you'd be a little bit confused. So this segment needs more hand-holding than the other segments, and that's why it's difficult to satisfy them. The opposite, the most educated segments, know exactly what they want. They have a list in their head. I want fast service, I want it to be good value for money, I want the staff to be friendly and polite, and if they don't get it, they're going to start knocking off points in their head regarding satisfaction. So that explains these two groups. This indicator is important for many companies because the education level is a proxy for income levels. Obviously, the more educated a person is, most likely their income levels are higher, and it's indicative of the segments that companies have. The other piece of information that we'd like to share with you now is shifting gears from measuring what's in the head, which is the rational assessment on speed and reliability and value for money, to the emotional part of a brand, where we love a brand, and I know Dr. Saad also mentioned that. Loving a brand is the way to go. The only way to increase and improve your business and be more competitive is by you making your customers love you and looking for ways to do that. So one of the things we are measuring is the Net Promoter Score, and we always talk about this, so I'm just going to very briefly say it's measuring those people that love you as a positive figure. If it's a negative figure, that means you're in trouble. You have more people not liking you than you have people liking you. Overall, this figure hasn't changed for Kuwait, so Kuwait has a healthy figure when it comes to net promoters. But we've seen that some industries are suffering because they have low promoter scores, which means that too many of their customers don't like them. And these industries are mobile operators, need to work on improving the number of customers that consider themselves ambassadors. There's too many detractors in the mobile operator industry. The same for ISPs, for hospitals, health clubs, car service. The list on the left are those industries that need to be able to build a relationship with their customers, so their customers aren't being treated by robots. They're being treated by people who engage with them as human beings. The opposite side, if I could just talk about the ones that have a lot of ambassadors, are 3 of the categories for food, so casual dining, cafes, and fine dining, as well as clothes. And if you think in your own personal experience, you probably go to the same restaurants again and again. You probably are already ambassadors of the places that you go to. Same for clothes. So it's a reflection of how good these industries are. And these industries on the right, which have a lot of ambassadors, are the strongest industries in Kuwait in terms of satisfaction. So the others need to move up to that level. Okay, I've probably bombarded with you with too much information. You're probably waiting for me to get off so that you can start getting the awards. But I'm going to spend just 5 more minutes of your time because I want to shift gears to telling you how we feel the information that we do can be used by each of your companies. And we work as consultants with companies on improving their service levels. One of the things we'd like to do is translate our scale, which is from 1 to 10, to a scale that companies can understand. So we're going to borrow the 6 levels of service that are proposed by a very famous writer on service excellence, Ron Kaufman. And he has the 6 levels of service, which are: service starts out at the lowest end is criminal service. This is where nothing happens the way you want it to happen. And then we have basic service. Then we have expected service, desired service, surprising and unbelievable. I'm sure many of you here are already familiar with this. But what we try to do is match our scale of 1 to 10 to this 6-level scale. And you might disagree with our interpretation, but the idea is to try to make the information usable to your teams. So we think if a company is scoring below a 4, and we have seen quite a few assessments like that, which means people were unhappy with the company offering, that offering is criminal. I'll give you an example. You buy a ticket to fly somewhere, your flight gets canceled and you're stranded. Wouldn't that be criminal service in your eyes? Wouldn't you rate it a 4 or below? Now let's look at the basic service level, which is we're giving a 5 or a 6. And basic service level means you've gone in, you've requested a meal at a restaurant, and you get it. But neither is it tasty, nor was the service friendly, nor was it fast, nor were they polite. I mean, a number of things that really didn't happen right. And so that to you is basic service. How about expected service? And most companies in Kuwait are in the expected range. And what is the expected range? Average service. It's service that's not exciting. It's when you go to a teller and the teller doesn't even say good morning and deals with you like a robot. And so we want companies to move out of that box. And the reason that we're sharing this is we're telling companies, you need to determine, do I want to be expected or do I want to be desired? And what is desired service? It's me going to a restaurant and getting really good food in a very nice environment. The waitress was very friendly. There was nice music in the background. And so I would say this is desired service. Well, how about surprising service, which is a score of around a 9? It's that same restaurant setting that I just gave you. But on top of it, when the waitress asks, how's your food? You'll say it was great, but the lemon meringue pie was really good. So as you're leaving, the waitress runs after you and you've already paid, and she says, this is compliments of the chef. And you open the bag and there's a piece of lemon meringue pie for you. Now that's surprising. That's something that's going to make you happy. That's something that's going to build loyalty. And you don't have to do this every time. The point is that you do these things just to surprise your clients. You can think of so many other things. So again, our advice to companies is to determine what goal they want to achieve as a company. And then, very importantly, is for leadership to push that message down to each and every staff member. And once you've said our target is to have surprising service in everything that we do, then there are a number of building blocks, and I'm rounding off here, just ending this discussion to say that it really is all about leadership. And when leadership decides that I want my company to be a legend in service, I want my company to be the Ritz-Carlton of companies in Kuwait, the Amazon of companies in Kuwait, why not? And so the 6 steps to enable a company to do that are the way it communicates with its team members, how it sends that message, what brand slogan or promise do we have? Is it to wow customers? Great, then let's work on it. So once all staff in an organization from bottom up and top down understand this, then that's how you get fantastic service. And then there's education. So education is not about training one-off. It's about systematic education throughout the company all the time. Not necessarily classroom training. There's so many other methods of training or educating people within an organization. And then how you reward your staff, how you acknowledge the great performers, how you make noise about them. Then resources. Do I have the systems in place? Do I have the teams in place? Am I recruiting the right attitude within people? And am I keeping them? And then measures. Am I measuring myself? It's not just every once in a while a survey that happens. It's the consistent measurement over time to ensure that we are measuring the right things to ourselves and to our competitors. And finally, and importantly, it's processes. Always thinking and revisiting the processes that we have to make sure that we're creating value for customers. So ladies and gentlemen, the fact that you are here tonight, you are selected from among 400 companies that were being assessed. There's around 50 company executives here, representing 50 companies here tonight. We applaud you for being among the leaders in Kuwait. Whether you win or not tonight, we still think that you're ahead of everyone else, and we really hope that you don't get disheartened and lose the focus. The focus is to maintain service, because in the long run, you're going to win many more loyal customers, which is better for you. So you can be the orchestra leaders, and you can be the cheerleaders, and we're here to help you whenever you need that.